Hey everyone, thanks for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. Before this video starts, I wanted to give a special shout out to Bobby. He is a awesome 11-year-old horror fan. His mom and I went to high school together, and he's followed me, I think, on Instagram and Facebook, and just loves the stuff I talk about. And I sent him a couple things. I had gotten a couple of, little stickers, and I got an enamel pin with Jason on it, and I thought I just would share and send them to him. And he was so appreciative that he sent me some amazing artwork that I have hung here in the Horror Zone, and I wanted to showcase it. And the artwork is featuring 4 horror icons. So this is the artwork right here that Bobby sent me. And as you can see, he's done an amazing job of capturing my favorite horror icon, Jason Voorhees, but also Ghostface from the Scream franchise, Billy from the Saw franchise, Billy Saw Puppet, and of course Pinhead from Hellraiser. So I found a good place for it to hang it right here, and it will remain here. This means so much to me, Bobby, and I just wanted to make sure I gave you a shout out on a new video that I'm doing here. So thanks so much, Bobby. Really appreciate the artwork. You're an amazing talent, and I know you're going to do amazing things. And with that, here's the new video. Horror Zone. Greetings, fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be talking about a horror movie that came out in the winter of this year. It was actually the last movie my wife and I saw in the movie theaters before everything went on lockdown because of the COVID-19. This film just recently was released on Blu-ray. It was a movie that we really had a hard time enjoying the first time we saw it, and it was no fault of the picture itself. It was more a fault of the audience that was in attendance with us during the screening. The movie I'm talking about is Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man. This was, of course, put out by Universal and Blumhouse. It stars Elisabeth Moss, who a lot of people know from Handmaid's Tale. She was also recently in the movie Us. And it was kind of a newer take on The Invisible Man due to the fact that the Dark Universe kind of crashed on arrival, thanks in part to the underperforming The Mummy, which starred Tom Cruise. So that whole plan where there was going to be, these big stars starring in recreations of the Universal Monster series, and they were all going to connect like Marvel, just didn't come to pass. And initially Johnny Depp was going to be attached to the Invisible Man, but when that all fell apart, this went to a more independent route and was reworked by Leigh Whannell, who wrote the screenplay as well as directed this. I've always been a fan of Leigh Whannell. I think he's a fantastic writer. Not only was he involved in the Saw franchise, but the Insidious films. He's directed the Insidious. He directed Insidious Chapter 3, which is my favorite of that franchise. He also wrote Dead Silence, which is my favorite thing that he's written, even though I know he's not a fan of it. And then he just recently did the film Upgrade, which he wrote and directed as well. The experience that we had seeing this film back in late February, early March is the reason why I didn't do a review of this sooner. This was just we go to the same movie theater all the time. I really miss going to the movies. But when we went and saw this, we went at night. Usually we go to matinees, but we really wanted to see this, and we didn't have time during the day. So when my wife and I went to see this at night, we had just a bad experience because there was a lot of kids in the theater, even though it's rated R, a lot of teenagers, which is fine, but they were carrying on. They were using laser pointers for some fucking reason and pointing them at the screen and running around and laughing and all this stuff. It just was a bad experience. We just sort of chalked it up to that's life, and planned to revisit it when it came out on Blu-ray. I initially thought about calling it up when Universal put it out on demand after COVID kind of shut down all the theaters, but I thought I'd just wait for the Blu-ray to give my take on the film, giving it a chance to rewatch. But before I get into my thoughts on the film, I'll give a brief synopsis of what the film deals with and talk about the cast and crew. When Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her a fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody else can see. The cast, you have Elisabeth Moss as Cecilia Cass, you have Oliver Jackson-Cohen as Adrian Griffin, Harriet Dyer as Emily Cass, Aldous Hodge as James Lanier, Storm Reed as Sidney Lanier, Michael Dorian as Tom Griffin, and the movie was written and directed by Leigh Whannell. So positives for me on The Invisible Man, number one is Elisabeth Moss. She commands the screen right from the start. The opening of this film, it really sets the tension and the mood right away, where Cecilia is escaping from Adrian at night while he is asleep, and she's planned everything out to get out of the house. And it's really, really well done. The tension is there, and it leads to an amazing scene where her sister picks her up on the road down from the house, and yeah, there's a confrontation with Adrian, and really, really is scary and well done. You're right away, you're with Cecilia and what she has gone through. Even though you haven't really seen what Adrian is like, you just can tell just based on her demeanor throughout the entire opening of the film. I also love the relationship between her and James, the Aldous Hodge character, and his daughter. That relationship is the heart of the film for me. They all seem like they care about each other. I love that James and Cecilia are not romantically involved, that they're just friends. I thought that was really cool, and I really like that family dynamic. Also, the special effects and Leigh Whannell's direction. There's some really interesting things that he does with the camera, lingering on shots for a long period of time, kind of letting you know that there's something there that you can't see, that the characters can't see as well. But it's really well done. And then the special effects with the Invisible Man effects are really, really cool, and I really like the way it was done. I understand that they're trying to do a different take on these films for a more modern day audience, and I think the subject matter is really relevant given, you know, what women in Hollywood have had to go through and how women have been treated by men of power. And I really think it's a subject that is relevant right now, especially with all of the Me Too movement that's going on. But for me, if you're going to call the movie The Invisible Man, I kind of want to know what the enemy or the villain is all about, and you really don't know much about Adrian. All you know about him is that he treats his wife horribly. He's a brilliant sociopathic man that has this technology to turn himself invisible, and that's about it. And I just wish there would have been more meat to that character because of the fact that he isn't that well established, in my opinion. There's a detachment to that character, and I think that's one of the film's weak points. I wish we could have gotten to know him a little bit more. Said the James character, Cecilia, and James's daughter, they are fantastic. But there's some exposition scenes that are actually on the Blu-ray that I wish they would have put back in the film, because with the exception of those three, everybody else in this film is forgettable. It did disappoint me in some ways because there's some things that just don't make sense the way that they play out. There's some plot holes that just don't make sense. But it's still an interesting and entertaining film. I kind of wish Johnny Depp could have played the Invisible Man because I think he's just a master, character actor. But I do like that they did something different. I do feel like a lot of the beats of this film are taken from the 90s film Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts. The fact that you don't really know the Adrian character, at least in that film, you understood your antagonist and you understood your protagonist. And in this one, you just don't. He's kind of just in the background, and you just know there's this invisible man that's tormenting her and trying to make her look insane. But you just don't understand his motivation behind everything that he's doing, given some of the circumstances and some of the plot devices that are established pretty early on in the film. So yeah, it's not a terrible film at all. I definitely recommend people checking it out and forming their own opinions. But it was a bit of a disappointment, even rewatching it and settling into it, not having the distractions that I had in the movie theater. It just didn't get me like I was hoping that it would. And it's no disrespect to anybody involved. Everybody in this film brought their A game. Leigh Whannell is a fantastic writer and director, but for some reason this movie just didn't connect with me like I thought it would. If I had to give The Invisible Man 2020 a rating on my scale, I would give it 2.5 skulls. So yeah, not a terrible film at all. A lot of positives to this. And upon revisiting it, maybe I'll feel different. But for right now, I'm going to stand by my rating. I wish the theater-going experience we had back in February would have been better because it was the last time we were in the movie theaters, and I really miss going to the movie theaters. I've had some bad experiences in movie theaters before. One of the worst ones I ever had was back in 2001, where people actually got underneath the screen and started slicing holes in the screen as people were watching the movie and sticking their hands through it. I actually went and got the manager that time and said, hey, somebody's cutting holes in your movie screen. And yeah, they caught them and gave us all free passes, but I just couldn't believe the gall of some people to go behind a movie screen and cut holes in it. And adults don't say anything about it. So like I said, check it out for yourself, form your own opinion. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. And I promise there's some more horror content coming really soon. Stay scared as always. Peace. Thank everyone for taking this time to drop by the Horror Zone. It really means a lot to me that people are supporting what I do here. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button down below. I upload videos at least once or twice a week. It would really mean a lot if people would spread the word about this channel. This is a passion of mine. I love the horror genre, and I'm really happy to share my love of it with all of you. So thanks so much again for checking it out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.